Hey everybody, welcome to Bomb Squad. I'm Dan Stacy, and you are about to witness my nerdy family and I use silly voices and exploding dice to tell a good story as we dive back in to another episode of Bomb Squad. Don't forget to check us out live on Rumble for AfterQuest and a lot of other cool shows coming up. I don't know. We have a show we're working on currently, and I'm not sure if it'll be out yet, but stay tuned. I will give you a sneak peek that it's called Party Confessions, and it is based on an adventure by vote that we are doing in our Discord. So I'm really looking forward to that. If you are in our Discord, a supporter of us, you will be able to see behind the scenes. In January, we'll be posting some behind the scenes as we're doing some makeup and costume tests. So
Makeup!
yes. Anyways, I'm excited for it.
The makeup
I hope you guys all
really
enjoy
awesome.
it. Yeah, it's pretty
I
cool. We're very excited. So join the ever-growing force, become a part of that, because our supporters are dictating the story that these characters are going on, and then we'll be creating content so you can see how they feel about it. And RPG MRE?
I also consumed it about 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
2 weeks ago. But yeah, black bean chips. Ashwagandha.
And how it's salt water.
Oh, and I gave him
thoroughly
basically
enjoying the salt water.
salt water with watermelon flavor.
Yes.
A little bit of element tea.
It's not good if it doesn't hurt a
It's
little
just
bit.
element.
Well, it's LMNT.
I know, but you say it just element.
The water follows
Whatever.
the electrolytes. That's all you need to know.
LMNT. I hear people say
Okay.
element
It's like someone
tea.
made Kool-Aid with salt water.
Just element.
Element tea.
It's yeah.
Like element
Are we ready?
tea.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the scienciest
Oh, we're
episode
not
of Bomb
diving
Squad! And we dive back in. All right. So, hold on. I'm still going. Oh,
Front
man.
stroke,
Sorry.
back stroke. Okay.
So you guys now know what the priority module has, and that the necromancers were very specifically seeking it out, and the necromancers were not following 𝑑𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂. They were, at that time, following Origin, the Infinite. So it seems that Origin wants this priority module. And what other questions or things would you guys like to cover before we move into the challenge event?
Pimp Pen's going to ask Grandfather. Brick's world's plan was to escape, and they did get someone out. Is there a chance that we can do this too? Is there a way to jump to another stream and do it without contaminating it further?
That is the important question. I do not know. In his story, Brick, perhaps you can speak to this. My granddaughter asks a good question. As you fled, clearly, whatever the destroyer is now, this Origin was already traveling this way. Perhaps you could guide us in a way to escape as well, but we would not want to bring this to another stream. Is there a way to escape? That is the question. What did you see when you were beyond your stream?
What the glass was designed to do was to accelerate faster than the acceleration of the universe itself. And we did that. what we did, the warp engine was an auxiliary. It doesn't matter. We got to the edge of the universe, the known universe. We didn't find a pocket of dark energy or dark matter or anything. We got to the end and we stopped moving. The warp engine was still on, but we weren't moving anywhere. There was a visual anomaly. Everything looked... It was like an infinite horizon stretching out left and right forever. Like a black hole, but stretched horizontally, infinitely. And what we came to find out is that that was our own warp bubble in nothingness. We were outside of the universe. And once we got outside of the universe, that's when people started turning. We were stuck there. In the void, in nothingness, aboard this ship with monsters, our friends, turning into monsters. The only way I got out Beep. Dr. Benund created a device based off of an emergency detonation warp battery. It was attached to the outside of a module, the science module that I arrived in. A lot of people died to get me here. It was mounted to the outside of the hull. The research module that I arrived in was pushed to the edge of the warp bubble in the void and detonated. That's all I know. And then I was here. With no memory. With no idea where I came from. And I've only been slowly getting back who I am and where I came from.
That is an intriguing point. Whether that's an effect of what you did or something else, I am unsure. But you have touched the nothingness. And he was even there. I fear this does not bode well for us. Did he become that by passing through, or is that where he is strongest? It is unknown.
All I know is that as soon as we turned on the glass's secondary engine and got out there in the void, that was hell. We went to hell.
I think Marosha flinches when you say that, and Aurora, you get the visions of what you've seen.
Well, we've got deities on our side. Is there a way of making something like that that's more secure, that gets us through? Maybe we could even bring your module thing. Then we would have people that survive from your world, our world.
It took an immense amount to create the glass. We can't make it here, not unless we have massive refineries and orbital. It doesn't. We can't rebuild the glass.
It is perhaps an option to have. Though we must beware. We do not want to repeat the stories that have unfolded. But I think it's worth considering. The Falcon, or the Phoenix, pardon me, stands up. I will not abandon this world. I think it better to stand and die here if that be it. But I do not think that darkness can stand against the light forever. We must just know how to hit it, and if we can protect enough of what we have and hold dear, it will grow and become a force that even he cannot consume. For my part, I will not leave. But if it is something that my fellows wish, I will defend it to my very end. I think Marosha and Adalia doesn't speak. I think she's still just resting a hand on the module and just crying. Marosha grabbing her arm where her arm was. Nor I will not leave this world. I will be the last, and I will judge myself, if that be the path we must take. But perhaps to see others escape, it is worth considering. But I agree with Grandfather. Too many times have our troubles repeated themselves. Can we not learn lessons from the past? Can we not make a difference this time? I think there is nothing left then but to prepare. I will look into this. I will see. With what I have to spare aside. A plan to escape is certainly one that should be in the cards. But if we could take the fight to him, understand what this, referring to the priority module, means to him, then perhaps we can use it against him. It is in our possession now. You have done that. Well done. The question now is, how do we use it to our advantage? In the meantime, let us defend what we hold dear. Gather together those few who will not give in to this. I will have the backup plan ready, if so needed.
Nowhere else for me to be.
Thank you. I still feel there is something coming. What it is, I do not think I am letting myself know. The adventure is really the fun of the ride, isn't it? Very well. Take some time to rest, recover. Adalia finally takes her hand off the module and it kind of fades from existence. You will need to return to the Temporal Realm, sooner than later. What time we can give you, you have, to rest and to heal. The waters over here will show you what goes on in the world, what has gone on in this time that has passed as you have found your way here. And when you are ready, May First Father's heart beat for all of us. Any last words as a team before we go into a scene showing what's going on in the Temporal Realm?
I just wanted to mention that Brick had a B memory. And
Oh, yes. Yeah.
so his,
Sorry.
like the,
Your new
that
flaw.
strand, it's like a chain that got yanked.
Yep. So I think in the challenge event, you'll be at an additional disadvantage in the first round. So, legend point for you, sir. And also during this time, I told them off screen, but when we go into the challenge event, if you guys use flaws inside the challenge event for a failure, you will not only get a legend point right now to use as you will, you will also get an additional legend point for next session when we do, hopefully, the offensive challenge event, as this will be the defensive challenge event. That being said, to reflect, right now we are going into the darkest part, and everything is against you guys as you set this up. So the flaws, and also you will have healed half your fatigue in this time. So while rolling, you'll be at a minimum of 1, half your fatigue to a minimum of 1, if you have any fatigue. If you have lethal damage, about half of your HP in lethal damage, then you'll take another disadvantage. Just to represent everything's against you. You guys are trying to protect what little is left that is not giving in. So that'll of course go away in the next challenge event, but for this one, it's kind of to represent how difficult the task is before you guys. So you guys can peer into kind of like Galadriel's pool is the idea, but there's this pool. As you walk forward into the reeds, you kind of splash into the water, and as where the reeds and the grass kind of fade into just this pool, the water ripples, and you see into a 𝒉𝒂𝒎𝒄𝒂, you see a 𝒉𝒂𝒎𝒄𝒂, and rushing in. Actually, no. We're going to add on top of this so you guys can see. In the heart of Dotos, at the heart of Dotos, at the heart of the world, where the battle is going on, you can actually see, even as you are speaking to these deities, and every once in a while they'll flinch and stuff, and it seems strange, but now you see that they are in combat with Origin, still held by the bonds that you guys crafted during your challenge event, that the deities use, the strings from all of you. He's pulling and tearing at them, but it's keeping him restrained and allowing the deities to actually have a chance in this moment. And always, especially Grandfather and the Phoenix, are defending the heart of Dotos as it beats in the center, and the rest, 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒂, the Wild Hunter as well, is there with them, and Marosha and Adalia are fighting. Yes?
What's 𝒑𝓻𝓲𝓬𝓴 doing?
Ah, sure. That's a good question. That's fun. Let's say you catch that as you go in. With the reveal of Origin, and in his speech, as he consumes the body of Ulkan, 𝒑𝓻𝓲𝓬𝓴 sweeps in, taking the mortal witness of Ulkan with him, opening a realm and fleeing with the handful of deities that don't immediately fall down and worship Origin. There are some deities that flee. He flees, no longer joining in the fight, taking the mortal witness of Ulkan with him. In the fight, there is the beheaded body of the High Seat laying off to the side, and Saint Neri walks over to it and touches his body, and they kind of glow and spark, and her energy fills his body. Her body collapses, and even as it does, one of the appendages of Origin reaches out and drags her body back. In the fight, reaching out as he's shooting out, it almost reminds you of the Reeks, but these massive bursts of noxious fumes that can choke even the gods as they're fighting, and he consumes her body. And you can see it fall in, and it's pressing on from within, it's pressing against. Every once in a while, you can see different forms of people. You could almost swear you saw Brianna in there, and this pressing against. The different necromancers you defeated, you could almost swear you're seeing specific forms pressing against the inside of Origin. And the high seat body now glowing and sparking. There's electricity just kind of sparking off of it as if a powered cord is just flailing in the wind. And the body picks up his head and puts it on as if putting on a helmet. And then you flash to Avicen, and there is a line of people at the Hauseta leading up to the steps of the Hauseta where the high seat now stands, his eyes glowing and sparking with electricity coming out of his nostrils and his mouth. The redness of his Drecki scales has kind of faded to like this soft pink almost. But it's almost as if the scales are barely holding in the energy as the light of electricity can be seen underneath. And there's just this line down the steps of the Hauseta out into the streets, and people everywhere, and everyone has someone who is in a comatose state or nearing it, affected by the blight, and they're all bringing them to the high seat. And he is going, I'm going to say this sermon, and while it's going, time is going to be passing, so we'll blip in. This sermon is almost this voiceover that starts here, but then it's also showing over time how the cult is growing. So at first, we get to see this intimate moment where one person, you guys know now the look of the completely blank stare, and it's just sitting, and it's just this man completely lost, and his family is around him, and they're weeping, and they carry him to the high seat, and the high seat kneels down, puts both of his clawed hands on either side, and presses his face close to this man's face. Breathe with me. And as he takes in a breath, the breathing of both the man and the high seat start to match. Breathe from me. And his voice is strained. It's affected by having been severed. He speaks in this strange way, but from some magical power, it just echoes and reverberates, and everyone you know to the end of the line can hear what he's saying, even though up close it feels intimate and soft. Breathe from me. One more breath together. Breathe by me. There's a pop as if an electrical outlet has exploded, and the individual the man who was overwhelmed by the blight, life comes back into his eyes, and he looks around just breathing. His family, weeping, starts coming around and holding him, and he actually pushes them off and falls at the high seat's feet and claws at his white robes that have char and spark damage on them still. And he says, I have seen, I know, I have seen the truth. I have seen the infinite. He is here. And he just keeps weeping and holding on to him, and his family is just trying to pull him away. And the high seat reaches down and touches his face, and he immediately calms down. And the high seat continues, looking out over the crowd as more people bring up their family members. Hope is among truth. And he looks right at that first man he healed. Is mine. And the man just takes in a breath, and he looks around and embraces his family. For that, looking out at the crowd, is what we deemed lost. have seen the words of our union. And he holds up a copy of the new scriptures. Are complete. We, referencing himself, do not free these souls from a burden. We only give them the voice to speak of what they have seen. And he touches the next person, takes a moment to breathe with them, and they come back suddenly, and there's more joyous crying from the family members. The infinite, the eternal truth itself, and the completion of all things. He reaches down, healing another. And this time you realize there's a time skip for you as you're watching this, and you see hundreds pouring into the Hauseta, bowing and worshiping at the High Seat's feet and offering themselves to this cult, and more are being healed every day. And there's also scenes of especially the underground that Pimp Pen had worked with, trying to sneak people away, and you get the sense of this battle where they're barely holding on to free a few people. And what was once the I just blanked on the bad guys that Pimp Pen really doesn't like. Hreinson, thank you. Hreinson.
I didn't forget. That's okay.
The Hreinson are actually purged. Many of their members, some of them actually fleeing, and the underground taking some of them in cautiously. But the Hauseta is disbanded for this new group that is coming in, that is all started by the members of the Hauseta who willingly sacrifice themselves to Origin and then rise as these new powers.
Do they have a name?
Nameless. Very specifically. They are, I think they would always say, we are Origin.
Okay.
And they wear blank gray or black clothing with no symbols, trying to be as
Uniformed.
yes, uniform as possible. Not indiscriminate, but just bland as possible. There is now a group of them all standing there, and they are kneeling with daggers all in their hands, pointed at themselves. There's a new group of them, and they are listening to the High Seat's sermon. For all is within, and all will return. We, with our own eyes, again referencing himself, saying we, have witnessed the dragon's final ascension into perfect union. There's blips of people being ripped out of their homes, some of the pockets of underground being overtaken by these new forces. He, in perfect union with he who is the origin of all things. It is our mandate now to open the eyes of the blind, doors being knocked down, and shut tight the mouths of blasphemy. For hate is right. Fear is right. Love is right. Holding high as he says those lines from the end of our union. Hatred of what is less than we can become. Fear of the unknown and the willingness to embrace he who has come before. And there's an intimate moment where he softly strokes the face of one of the people vowing themselves and kneeling there with a dagger pointed at their gut. To embrace he who has come before and will forever be. And love gesturing at all of them. And it's now you realize it's a different group of people and even larger to get this idea that the cult is growing and it's over time. Love for his unification and glorification, as we all will in him be forever. Holding up the scriptures again. He is life. He is death. He is God. He is holy. And so it is written that all shall return, lest us willingly embrace the infinite. Speak with me the words of our union. And you realize that before each person now kneeling with a dagger at their gut in very much the Senpaku style, there's also someone who is clearly undead risen standing next to them with a blade in hand. In life, we have grown. In death, we now rise. And the whole of the Ħalseta is filled with the voices of everyone saying that. And as they finish the line, they stab into themselves. The people standing next to them immediately behead them in honor of how the high seat ascended. And then there is a moment where the blood pours out, and then the bodies begin to twitch and stand and grab their head just as the high seat you had seen him done, and put their heads back on as if helmets. And some of them start to pop out additional appendages and transform in strange ways. Almost some of them, appendages come out extending their neck, turning into the monsters you had faced on the glass. So, you return to this nightmare, and we begin our challenge event.
Gonna need some Diet Coke.
Meta question.
Yes,
is the
please.
blight the same thing as what transformed people?
Cerebral syndrome. Yeah.
It is, yeah. But it just seems to be that either beyond the universe or when they go through this ceremony, that's when they become this.
There does seem to be
hyper-version.
what you would definitely know and could assess is those who willingly give in become something more. However,
Interesting.
any dead body can be resurrected as a tool, but those are your more classic mindless zombies. It is the ones who willingly give themselves that become what was on the glass.
Okay.
And are much more dangerous. So, it's going to be 8 failures, 16 successes across the 2 episodes. I did want to have more failures because I do want to encourage the use of the flaws and not have you guys feel like that's really going to push you to the edge. So, let us begin. We can also chat a little about what it's like returning.
Where are we going? Like,
Well, this is where we enter the... sorry, I should clarify too. This is where we enter the time skip. So you guys can arrive back. I don't... unless you have some very specific zoom-in moments you want for arriving back or meeting up with somebody, I'm not concerned too much about where you arrive when you come back to the Temporal Realm. We want to get into the idea of this overarching... over this next period of time where all of this is happening, right? You guys don't arrive at the end of all of that.
yeah.
You're in there and involved as this is unfolding. So this was the bad guys' time skip, and now we're going into kind of your guys' time skip. They're establishing their stronghold, their power. What are you guys doing on the defensive as they're doing this? And because of the one of the biggest things against you guys is that to the everyday person, the high seat is the only one who can heal the blight.
Brick would want to just basically touch base with all of the allies and make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Getting a list of who's good, who's not. Dimir, Audrey.
Yep. And I want that. So that was what it was mentioning too. Within this challenge event, it's not just you guys doing things. Your roles are going to represent, like, we can pick specific people to connect with, or what you're setting up. We'll just use your guys' stats to represent that and what you're inputting. So I would love for the roles you could specifically be reaching out to those people. As of currently starting at the challenge event, we have all the NPCs you guys have collected, if you will, but all of them currently, 𝒕𝒐𝒏𝒔𝒐𝒏, Tamrin, they might need to come in a little later, Riker and Defiant Riot, but we can definitely, there would have to be a role to get in touch with them. They are in a place that is very well connected to everything that is happening because 𝒂𝒂𝒅 was the first island that fell into this dismal thing. So they are definitely a part of this, but I think one role would be someone's got to somehow connect with them. Whereas we got the circus, you've got the dwarves. The dwarves are in a civil war right now. Also, so there's a small faction of the dwarves have joined with the goblins. So the dwarves are fighting the goblins right now, as well as some of the sea elves are not directly fighting them, but those sea elves from 𝒔𝒐𝒆𝒄𝒂 Jewel are supporting the dwarven families on the goblin side. That's going on, and Prati, the high seat, is going to deem Prati as his second holy site, and is going to be politically pushing against the actual capital of 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒔𝒂, and making Prati the home as his power is growing, as this faith, this cult is spreading.
For Brick, it's getting a base, getting a location.
Yep.
A rally point, and then actually doing the rallying so that we can come back and build fortifications and
maybe let's use the rest of the time here maybe to talk about, as a team, you guys talk about where would you want the rally point to be, because I really like that. I would love seeing a secret stronghold or something like that.
If I'm gonna get people out, I have to get them to some place. Unless hiding out in the wilderness is the best thing for people.
Well, where does Nori live? It's like right outside 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒔𝒂, right?
It's a little closer to Prati. So there's 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒔𝒂, and then south is Prati, and then a little bit farther south is Nori. So Nori is definitely an option. That could be fun.
Just something that's like near wilderness, but also central.
There is a reason he picked that town too. It's a very small town there, and he has a mountain that you guys could turn into a full stronghold. And he's upgraded it with Brick's stuff too. So I love that idea.
Yeah. So if that's not moving, or that'd be really hard to move, then basing out of there.
Right. I mean, he can pack up and move anywhere you need.
I would imagine that's also probably where the Vagrant was.
Yeah.
Kind of his base of operations, if you will.
Yes. Yeah.
And being able to utilize that aspect of Brick's history.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good, safe house for us, as opposed to a base of operations. Like, if things go bad and, we have to fall back, maybe Nori's is a place that we could get to. But if we're going to be centralizing a fight against the world, then maybe the actual capital. If hope is the weapon, then we need to make sure that there's a strong central point that people know is defending them.
Where is the king?
King back.
Yeah. What is he doing? Whole world's going. Lona?
Yes. We'll have to find out in the challenge event. Okay. So if you guys want to start establishing, that would be roles to find out what's going on there. Can we establish a stronghold there? Can we make connections? So
we're supposed to be collecting people together and bringing them to Adalia's world. That's what we're doing?
oh no,
We're
you
just
can't.
collecting them.
Yeah,
it's-
I mean
yeah,
the
wh-
idea is protecting what's left.
Okay.
However that looks for you guys.
Pimp Pen makes a good point. Do we need welcome. Well, I'm not sure that Pradi is the right place to build a base.
She was saying 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂,
Oh, 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂?
yeah, the capital,
Which is, you said was...
North.
a little farther north. Now, the location doesn't too much matter. If you guys will make that part of the roles, if you guys want to set up in 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂, that'll be all part of the roles. Connecting with whoever's there, finding out what's going on, what people think. Can we set up a base? So, totally viable option. We just make that would be part of this challenge event.
So it's Pradi, 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂, Nori?
Reverse 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂,
Pradi,
Pradi, Nori.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's in between?
Pradi's in between. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
But it
it's,
does
it's
mean that-
slightly more of a triangle. If we want to get really nerdy about it, it's 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂, Pradi, Nori's.
Okay. Okay. I like that. So if 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂 is the base, Nori is the unsaid.
He has the priority module currently, if that's
Safe
where you
house.
want to store it.
The safe house with the he's still got the cloaking.
Yep, he has the cloaking tech.
So
He made a whole mountain disappear.
I say nobody says anything about Nori's location. That's the if everything goes south, everybody knows to go there. And 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂 has Audrey, right?
Audrey is currently towards Nicaea with Defiant Riot.
Oh, okay.
She retired and went off to adventure with Tamarin, and they ended up hooking up with Defiant Riot and the Red Shells
Okay.
and Riker.
Is there's still a resistance though in 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂 that?
That I would make that part of the roles and
Okay.
we'd see how it's going. For sure, there's a resistance in there. The question is, how well are they doing, and
Okay.
what
So-
resources do they have?
So yeah, then I guess it would be 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂 is we would need to establish the resistance, clear out the non-resistance.
On it. Keep going.
There is also the dwarves too. Is another option. So the mountains go through here: 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂, Pradi, Nori's. Northern portion is Dimir and the families with him. Goblins are in the south.
Well, it's a good central location then.
For that continent, yes, it is quite literally right down the center.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess Rick would vote for maintaining an active front at all the locations, but starting to try to centralize command and information.
You'd have to do it. 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂 has a good relationship with the dwarves because the mountain range kind of goes like this, right? So the northern part where the good dwarves are, if you will, 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂 is right here. They've always had a very good connection. So either you could do one of those and you have easily connecting there without having to go past Pradi or the goblins in the south.
So we can funnel everybody into the mountains in the center and then out to 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂.
You certainly could. People from the southern continent would either have to go by boat or through the isthmus that connects them, and then there's people like from 𝒂𝒑𝒏𝒄𝒂 and that whole archipelago have to be brought by boat. But if there's options like to make connections with, so it's the Sea Elves, so you got the mountain on this side, bad Sea Elves, unknown Sea Elves and 𝒬𝒨𝒻. That would be part of roles. We'd probably leave that up to roles where they're falling currently. But that could potentially be bring them from 𝒂𝒑𝒏𝒄𝒂 up to the northern cities in the free port cities to the mountains, and then either on to 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂 or you make mountains your main home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just giving you world information, so don't make anything I say. You guys make the decision 100%.
Yeah.
Dan's insight.
You should set up in a 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒂. Actually, the house set his basement's a great option. I've heard it was recently cleared out by fire.
Been purged.
Clean slate.
Clean plate. Just gonna sneak by
little
everyone quick.
There's like hammering. What is that?
Every time the high seat has a sermon, hammer, hammer. Sorry, I'm
The exclamation mark.
Pimp Pen had a thought.
Well, speaking of the southern continent, it might be kind of hard to relocate people like off of a continent. But you were there recently enough. Do they have a centralized point? Are there cities there? Do you have a contact or so that we could reach out there to like get them to coordinate their efforts?
Which continent?
Southern.
The southern
I don't
continent.
remember
So there's
that.
two
Okay, they don't have
continents.
specific
You're
names.
from here, and we're talking about this one.
Okay.
They do, but it doesn't matter. Oral Breve and Rin Breve.
Okay,
So it's kind of like North and South America, except they're more east and west.
gotcha. Okay, all right.
But yes, you would definitely have contacts to
gonna
make
say
them roll.
yes, I
Proctor
have.
Mala is now Lesser Seat Mala, and he is in charge of the Whalesfin Project Connection.
He's down there. I mean,
He is, the specific thing he's been doing is trying to create a peace between the orcs and the northern elves there, the wild elves, because both of them have been heavily affected by the blight, so there's been territorial disputes just to try and get access to food grounds. And that's, with the blight going on, it's gotten way worse. We would leave it to rolls on what you could find out there if you could contact him. And then you have other connections with the Alleyway Singers.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Right. However, you do know that your Nemesis sort of, I'm suddenly blanking on his name. Doesn't matter.
Don't ask me
Back-
again.
Too many names in my head. The bad guy down there, he's gotten control, and he's actually keeping things pretty settled, but he has a large area of control with the southern elves. So there's the southern elves and the northern elves.
Okay.
Kingpin dude.
Yes.
So,
I'll find it. But.
yes, I mean, there are plenty of people that we could connect with. The matter is finding the right one.
Zoya has successfully brought the orphans out to Prati, too. So she has made that journey once. So she may be an access point. We'll probably do NPCs like items, potentially, too, on your rolls if you want to specifically work with an NPC like we've done before.
I think at this point it's best to get 2 messages out. I could at least begin to send a message through my dearest friend and see what word she could spread. And then we could also send word to Proctor Mala and begin to...
Sorry, I guess they thought we'll fox them. How do we get the message there in time? We'll fox them. Oh, we'll fox them. And they put the little scroll on top of the back of the fox. It's from Robin Hood Men in Tights. Instead of faxing him, they'll fox him. And they put the scroll on the top back of a fox and they let it go.
It's not funny when you explain it.
It's still funny to me. We'll fox them.
Sorry.
It's good.
Oh, dear.
We can just use little
Yeah.
scribble notes and have mailboxes everywhere.
Little squirrel.
Yeah,
So bring them into this.
Pigeon?
Squirrel.
Why not?
You can use pigeons.
Squirrels have done their part for us, actually. I mean,
Okay.
they-
Squirrels
they-
of the
they
skies.
deserve a break.
I will have an army of squirrels later. It'll be great.
So, What?
I'm sure Demeter and Tatiana would be able to meet them and bring them through the mountains. Anybody who comes, so. I'm going to get a hold of my grandmother and see what I can find out from her.
Fennec.
Fennec.
That's his
Fennec.
name.
The bad
Sorry,
guy.
I was looking
No,
it
this
up.
is Aurora?
Well done.
LM.
Unbelievable. Oh, second share of the
I'll
night.
take it. I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll need it.
We'll let you guys discuss a little bit more on break because this has been another fantastical episode of Bomb Squad, an Avenue Studios production. Do
Saw
give us
that
a
one
like,
coming.
subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Oh, I found my notes, so I'm done. I'm just teasing. Hit the notification bell to follow the adventure. You can further support us and become a part of the ever-growing force known as Avenue Studios by joining our locals or Patreon community. Doing so not only helps us continue to create high-quality content, but you also gain access to bonus content, which will probably be these guys planning a little extra, so you're not going to want to miss
Or other
that.
things.
There is a lot of other things.
No. No other things.
As well as our private Discord where you can chat with us, play games including Kingmaker, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Westmarch style in our Discord-wide Westmarch game. Come build kingdoms with us. Be the hero. Join the adventure.
Okay.
Check out the short and
I'm convinced.
just don't forget to check the links in the description below for the sound, music, and ambience that we use. And thank you so very much for joining the adventure. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.